And welcome into Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater, also on UWW-TV. We got a great show coming in. I'm your host, Chris Pittner, joined as always by a fantastic crew of Alex Lazzarini, Colin, Ryan, Mikey, and Alex Lindblom. Guys, how are we doing? It's a warm Tuesday today.
Pretty warm. How about you, Chris?
How are you doing?
How did Seattle treat you?
It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of good stuff. If you read my LinkedIn post, you would have saw my cheesy
Obviously.
PR version of that. But
I got your post.
I'm gonna go check it out
on LinkedIn.
obviously,
I'm gonna go check it out right
you
now.
and 15 other people.
Go ahead and click that bell on my LinkedIn page.
Let's see here.
What I'm doing with my career.
Are you Chris or Christopher on LinkedIn?
Christopher Bittner.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
That would be hilarious.
Just kidding, I found
Christopher
you.
Bittner.
I think we're connected already, if I'm not mistaken.
We're not. We are now, though. We are now.
I'll get a notey about it, I'm sure. But anyway, how are you guys actually doing with the warm weather out there?
Sweaty?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty weird. I mean, tomorrow will be warm too, but then it's going to cool down.
What are the reactions to it being almost 80 degrees in October?
Well, I wish it would have been this warm around Halloween last year because I decided to dress up as Giannis. A basketball jersey. I was just freezing my behind off.
Dude, you look just like him.
Exactly.
I
Everybody
would have
kept telling me.
confused you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have seen you and been
Oh
like,
my God,
are you
is
supposed to be
that-
at a basketball
is
game
that
right now?
the
Is that
Thanasis?
Giannis?
You can
Got
be a
Thanasis
freak on
sitting
the
right
court
next to me.
and in the sheets.
God, dude.
That's wild. But
He's getting 50 nuggets at Chick-fil-A.
50 nuggets. Let me get 50 of them.
not 51, not 49.
50.
But I remember back when I was a young blood, as they say. That fell flat. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I remember it used to be like
Jeez.
30 degrees out for trick or treating, and I'd be walking around the neighborhood in my basketball jerseys with a winter coat on underneath. So I look kind of like
You had the
You
basketball
must
I kind of looked like
jersey.
the Michelin
you must have
Man.
looked ridiculous.
You had the jersey over the coat.
I did.
That's crazy.
I looked like
That
the
is
Michelin
crazy.
Man.
That's absurd.
Mama
is
Pittner was
crazy.
not letting you go out in a tank top.
No,
Dude was
she was not.
going out for Halloween like Greg Heffley.
Have you guys ever seen that Christmas Story movie?
Yeah.
The one,
Yeah,
the one that they always play
You
with
look like the little brother.
Yep, I looked like the little brother.
Like Randy.
All right, with that, we're going to get into the Warhawk thought of today, which is going along with the jersey theme that I kind of touched on a little bit already. What is the best or toughest jersey for any sport you have ever seen? Laz, I'll start with you.
Well, I feel like the go-to is always either the Raptors or the old Grizzlies jersey, but I'm going to take a little detour. I'm going to go with...
Those are mine too, lads.
Yeah, exactly.
I have four, though. I have four, so we're fine. But
Did you write them down?
yeah, they're right here.
You couldn't just keep them up here?
No.
Fair enough. I came up
I
with
always
mine,
forget
like
on the
5
spot,
Exactly.
too.
The old Pistons jerseys, like the teal
Oh,
ones.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I
like
those
that.
were tough.
Those
Those
were
were
hard.
tough. Yeah.
I feel like
got it.
early
Those
2000s are when jerseys were at their peak.
Any NBA
This
team, you
is
look at their
ringing
jerseys
in my
20
ears.
years ago,
Uh,
just better.
The Bulls
Yeah.
haven't really changed, to be
Well,
honest,
yeah.
Yours are the exact same as they've
Bulls-
always
yeah,
been.
the Bulls
They've been the
Christmas
same
jerseys-
for like 50 years, pretty
The Bulls
much.
Christmas jerseys with like the curse of Chicago, those are super tough.
That are the
Oh,
St.
those are-
Patty's Day ones that were green.
How about the camo Spurs jerseys, huh?
All right, coming next week, what is the worst jersey you've ever seen?
We could do that.
We could.
We could.
We
That's
should.
That's
should.
not bad.
That's a good idea.
I don't hate the short sleeve jerseys.
I would probably
No,
pick
me
the,
neither. I
I'd
like the
probably
Cavs
pick the
ones.
Eagles.
They're so
Yeah.
iconic.
The Eagles like blue and yellow ones. Those are atrocious.
That
They're
or the
bad.
Packers ones with the brown helmets were
oh
pretty
my
bad.
God.
Stinky.
Or like,
PU.
The old
brown
throw-
circle on the middle.
the throwbacks.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
the
God.
Steeler Bumblebee ones.
Those are
Those
tough.
recent-
What do you
are
mean?
fire.
Nah, I don't like
I love
those.
those.
What do
are
you
so
mean? What
tough.
do you mean? Those were terrible.
Those are
fire,
bad.
dude.
You're terrible.
Dude,
So
the,
it was
recent, the recent ones with U of I, where they did their throwback.
I like
the,
that.
the,
With the leather
leather,
helmet?
With the leather.
that was hard, bro.
That was fire.
What are your
Really?
thoughts on
The
the
helmets were
You
sick.
thought so?
That was
helmets
so
were
The
sick.
helmets were cool, but like
the helmets saved
jerseys,
the uniform itself.
stinky.
I really
I liked
only
it.
saw
Pete.
the helmet.
I don't know if you
Yeah, the helmet saved the uniform, in my opinion.
It
I don't
made
know
it
if
like
you
a
guys have
4.5.
seen the Giants throwbacks this
Oh.
Those
year.
are god
No, I haven't.
They're
No, yeah, I
terrible.
have. They
So he
suck.
loves the
They
Bumblebee,
suck.
but he hates the Giants ones.
Spit it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
either one is not great in my opinion. But on to Colin. What is your
speak?
not
Sorry.
least favorite jersey?
I just want to apologize to Mikey Peterson. That was a bit out of color there, but I could have gone with the throwback Raptors or the throwback
Why are you
Grizzlies.
staring me down like this,
Because
Colin?
you were like, those are mine too. Like they weren't everybody's
Like
too.
I have 4 though, so I have 2 more.
But I decided to get a little creative. I went with Oregon's breast cancer awareness kit from
Ooh.
2014.
Dude,
Yeah.
Oregon has like the toughest college
Nobody even
jerseys.
No, they
thought
I
of
got
that.
scared for a second.
I didn't think of it either until I looked up best jerseys, and that showed up. But they're really cool. I miss when teams would actually go all out for October for breast
I've thought
cancer awareness.
my roommates and I have
Dude,
had
the pink
conversations about that
accessories,
too.
The pink helmets. Shout out the ladies.
I think my high school still does it actually, where they do a
Can't-
pink out.
Men can get it too.
I
Shout
remember,
out everybody.
I remember Pop,
Shout out
Warner-
everyone here.
My Pop
regardless of
Warner
gender.
team. We all did like pink socks, pink sleeves. We did everything for Pop Warner.
That's what my high school always did too. It's like everything under the jersey was pink, or
Yeah.
like the socks, even
Yeah.
some people probably the shoes too.
Painted their chest pink.
That would be impressive.
Paint your nails for intramural basketball in October. It's for breast cancer awareness.
We're not gonna get into that too much today. On to Ryan.
I picked. I went football with my 2. I went the Eagles Kelly Greens. Those are pretty tough. And then 2022 Oregon Ducks yellow and gray. They got the gray like the bird feathers on the sleeves. Those are pretty sick.
I feel like Oregon's always gotten like the highest effort jerseys from Nike.
Yeah.
They care. They
Well,
care.
yeah, because their factory's like right next
It
to their-
is. It's right next to
campus.
It's like the
Yeah.
flagship
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
They just gotta walk the jerseys over. They don't have
Yeah.
to ship
Yeah.
them.
They,
It's
they
like,
don't, they
here
don't
you
pay
go.
shipping. They just pay
Here
a guy
you
to
go.
walk over.
All right, Mikey.
I got 2 as well. I decided to go with the purple Arizona Diamondbacks jerseys back when they won the World Series in like 2001 with Randy Johnson. Those are some of my favorite jerseys of all time. And for more recent, I went with the Oregon Ducks as well, but I went with their eggshell jerseys.
I don't know if I've ever seen those. I gotta
What'd
give
you
it a
say,
quick
rag
Google
shells?
search.
I like the
Eggshells.
I like the
Eggshells.
Royals, like the
I'm not
cut off
even looking
Royals
at that.
ones. Those I like the baseball.
Okay,
the
I see
baseball
what you're
cutoff
saying,
jerseys
Mikey.
are-
Those are
Yeah.
cool. I like it.
I'm big on
Mainly
those.
the
Let me see.
helmet.
Let me see.
Yeah,
I'm big on the eggshells.
Oh yeah.
They're nice.
Oh,
The helmet
yeah,
is so
that'll
tough.
do it.
That's one of my favorite
That'll
parts.
do it. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that'll do it.
That'll do
That'll
it.
do
It'll
That'll
take
do
a
it.
trip to Quick Trip after that one.
Get some eggs.
Or some Glazers.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Get some Chris
That's-
Collinsworths.
That was, yeah, all right. Look at a 6-pack of Chris Collinsworth.
They know exactly what you're talking
Oh, yeah,
about.
that's over
Yeah.
there. In the bakery section.
The Tony Romos are on the other side. Those are the dunkers. Alex,
I have 3. So I have Miami Heat's Vice Wave City Edition jerseys. I think those are fire.
I can respect that.
And then I got the North Carolina Tar Heels jerseys, the baby blues. NCAA, I use those all the time.
You can't go wrong with those either.
Exactly. And then I got Ohio State. They're all black uniforms. I think those are.
What about
Go
the
crazy.
throwback Toronto Raptor jerseys?
I mean,
What about the
it was there.
Vancouver
Or
Grizzlies?
perhaps, yeah, the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Per
Somebody
Perchance.
should have
chance.
said it. I don't
Did
know.
it cross
Eventually.
your mind, Alex?
I don't think anyone thought of it. I don't think it was,
No, I don't think so either.
it crossed anyone's mind.
What do you say, Vancouver? Grizzlies? Toronto Raptors? Nothing rings a bell.
It's,
I don't know
it's
those
Canada.
jerseys.
It's all
a
Canada
Canada
teams.
thing.
Yeah.
Care about the
Yeah,
U.S.
jerseys
mother
were better
flipping
when we
A
had 2
over here.
teams in
Whoa!
Canada. What'd you say?
This is a G. This is a G show.
Wow.
A G-rated show.
All right, we're going to have to go back and edit that out.
All right, yep.
Jamie?
We
Josh,
apologize.
Josh, we
deeply
need you right now, buddy.
Where's our
We
Jamie?
apologize. We're really sorry.
That kind of behavior will not be tolerated here
We
on
just
the
let
show.
anybody on the show now.
Yeah, we do.
I want
It
out
feels
of the,
that
I want
way.
out of the fishbowl. Get me away from this guy, please.
The guy
Can
with
we-
sailor mouth. He's
Yeah.
got
Can-
sailor mouth
Can we,
in
can we
there.
get Mike 5?
Taylor Mouth.
Move, please?
Yeah, mute his mic, man.
You're
I think
Mike
you crossed
5,
the
Mikey.
line.
Come on, Mikey.
Back.
I know,
You're
I was
Mike
saying
5.
get my mic out of the fishbowl.
I think it said mute Mike 5.
No.
I swear
I'm
you
pretty
his
sure
mic.
you
All right,
said
guys,
mute
can we
Mike.
talk about some sports, please?
All right,
10 minutes.
on to my favorite jersey. I'm just gonna go with the basic one. I like the Bucks blue one. I know that's not like a
Really?
common one at all. I'm just a huge fan of that color blue.
How
so
about Cream City?
The Cream City ones are.
You like
those
cream
those
soda?
ones aren't bad either.
Population.
The jersey, of course.
Wow.
Milwaukee known as the Cream City. But moving
Known for
on
their
to our
cream.
obviously, yeah.
Right.
Moving on to the first topic of today, swing the axe is what Platteville says when they score a touchdown. And this weekend, Platteville took down the UW Whitewater football team. If you tuned in yesterday, I'm sure they touched on this a little bit too, 17-10. And Whitewater collects their 3rd loss of the season. Outside the top 25 in the Division III poll for the first time, and I don't have a fact check on that, but it's got to be a long time. And they're in serious danger with two really tough matchups coming up against River Falls and La Crosse, missing the playoffs for the first time since 2017. Ryan, I'll start with you on this one. Initial reactions to this game.
I mean, we're now 4-3, 2-2 in conference play. We're pretty bad on the road. We're 1-2 on the road, 3-1 at home. I think the run game has just been like what has gotten us the wins, and we don't rely on it too much. The quarterback play has been too inconsistent. I think Chris has done a lot better than Sinetti has, just like his decision making. But he didn't have a horrible game. He went under 500 passing though. He was 18 for 39 for 254, a touchdown and a pick. But like we just can't seem to capitalize on the opportunities that are given to us. The defense played okay. They got about 300 yards passing thrown on them. But the run defense, we shut them down. I think it was about 50 yards that they only got on the ground. But the offense just can't seem to break through. And like I said, I think Chris' decision-making is a lot better than Sinetti. Sinetti feels like he's just forcing every ball he throws.
Sinetti, it almost feels like he overthinks it.
Correct. And like Chris, he seems a lot more comfortable back in the pocket, and he can make educated throws and actually find receivers open.
Now, I wasn't able to watch the whole game, but I watched the second half, and it felt like Platteville just had pressure every single play, pretty much. It felt like the pocket collapsed. Platteville sent a bunch of blitzes, especially at the end, and Whitewater just had no answer.
Well, when you see an offensive line just like getting beat down, and you can see success when you're bringing pressure. You're going to keep bringing pressure and keep playing, giving that zone blitz, and then. I mean, we have a tough opponents coming up. River Falls is not going to be easy. They're 5-2. They just lost to Platteville, but their previous game, and then La Crosse.
When La Crosse just took them down.
Exactly. And Eau Claire is your best shot. If you're still alive by Eau Claire, that's probably your best game that you're going to have against a WEAC opponent, but against that's also on the road. So.
I mean, there's a chance that this season could end up being the worst in over 20 years.
Yeah, it's not been going.
I think there's a little more than a chance there, Chris. 3 losses this early into the season. That is just not.
It's a disaster.
Whitewater
It's purely
football.
a disaster.
I'm going to give us a fact check real quick, hopefully on...
I was trying to fact check you earlier, but I couldn't find anything.
Finding out when the last time we weren't ranked was is going to be really tough to do just because, you know, some seasons, like I think it was 2017, we started out 0-2 that year, but we finished like 7-3, so we probably were unranked after those 2 weeks. But if we finish below 7-3, that'll be our worst season since 2003.
Just shows you the dynasty we have here.
I mean, the tradition is definitely there.
Silver lining.
When I feel like this team is still very talented. There's, like, you see the flashes there.
Dude,
still.
it's just the offense. I mean, we went 3 for 13 on third downs that game. That is atrocious. And on top of that, we just had trouble out of the gate all season. Like, we didn't score one time in the first quarter last game against Platteville. And
we scored all 10 of our points in the second quarter.
Yeah, second half we were held scoreless the whole time.
And then, you know, it was 10-7 coming down to the fourth. They scored 10 unanswered. It's just like, what are we doing?
Well, what happened was in that situation, Whitewater had a 4th and goal on Platteville's 8, where they should have just taken the points. And in my humble opinion, obviously, hindsight is always 20/20 on this too, where it's like you can easily say, oh, they should have definitely taken the points. But you could also see Rindall's vision where he wanted to stretch the lead to 10 and put the game pretty much to bed unless Platteville would have been able to come up with something, which they hadn't to that point in the game. Platteville stops them, and then 3 plays later throws a 92-yard touchdown to Brant Stair and takes the lead 17-14. Chris throws an interception shortly after that. They get another field goal, and then Whitewater just really struggled to move the ball effectively after that.
Chris Pittner, future offensive coordinator for UW Whitewater.
I cannot suggest much of anything when it comes to play calling.
Hey, are you doing a good job in college football? Then they'll probably hire you.
I am one of the worst college football players of all time.
Right now?
We're not going to do that here on this show, but constructive criticism is always welcome. On to Mikey. What are your thoughts?
I mean, pretty much you guys kind of just summed it up there. The second half was very rough. Only the points came in the second quarter. It's a second straight away loss for UW Whitewater, second straight road loss to UW Platteville along with it. But ultimately, it just came down to feels like a lack of motivation for Whitewater, especially offensively. It just seems like they just seemed unmotivated. They just didn't really want to be on the football field against Platteville. I don't know what it was. But the defense played nearly lights out, besides the already mentioned 92-yard stripe to Stair, and then before that, or was it before or after?
Brant Stair was really the only major problem
but-
in that game, but he's
yeah.
been a problem all season for anybody.
Well, along with that 92-yarder, there was also the 40-yard to Stair as well from Priami. But Zachary Botham, we stuffed him for, 57 yards and 25 carries.
That's rock solid.
That's pretty solid for a defense there. But ultimately, I just feel like offensively, just super unmotivated. Noah Battle was the best running back, and he had 25 more yards on one less carry than Tamir Thomas. And as we mentioned, Chris was abysmal, threw under 50%, 250 yards, a touchdown.
Abysmal is definitely a strong
Jeez.
word, Mikey.
It's a big word for you, Mike.
We're not holding
Proud
back
of you.
today.
Wow. Big word for me.
It's just like it's tough to watch, man.
It is.
It really is.
But, I mean, under 50% completion with a touchdown interception, especially when your defense is shutting down a Platteville offense that this season statistically has been incredible. It's been high scoring, and they only allowed 17 points, but you still lose the game. The offense just didn't really seem to want to be there.
I mean, you can't ask for much more from a defense going on the road to a division rival and who's ranked 8th in the country going into the game and holding them to 17 points. You can't ask for much more as a defense. That unfortunately comes down to whether your offense can put up more than 17. And on Saturday, they were not able to do that. On to Alex.
So, I think the Warhawks kind of lost themselves. I mean, we saw it. There was actually like a touchdown that was called back for a block in the back penalty.
I think it was Tyler Vasey had a 75-yard
Yeah.
screen pass
Yeah.
that was caught. They had just a ton of room. He was able to get through, beat all the defenders. But in the back, about 5 to 10 yards behind the play, I actually I watched the highlight recap of the game. They posted it on YouTube, and there was couldn't tell you who it was, but they 5 to 10 yards behind where Vasey already was, there was a Warhawk that made a block on somebody, and it just I don't want to say it was unneeded because it was probably what he was supposed to do in that situation, but it was a mental mistake, and the play gets called back, and Whitewater didn't really have a chunk play after that.
Yeah, that was when the score was when we were winning 10-7 as well. So even getting that puts us 10 points ahead, and that would have been huge for us. And I just feel like it's so unnecessary. I mean, I guess stuff happens, but like when I remember seeing it, and I was like, that's gonna get called back, isn't it? And it did. But yeah. They also took advantage of the blitz a lot. Like, we really need to work on blitz pickup. Like, they just spammed mid-blitz, especially during the late stages of the game. And, like, they were just running tons of mid-blitzes. And
When
then
it felt like
they put
Chris in
pressure
those
on us.
moments a little bit too, he just felt a little flustered.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about Chris. Like, he needs to get the ball out quick. Like, he's not great under pressure, which, I mean, not a lot of quarterbacks are. But, like, putting pressure on him really proved to be effective for the Pioneers here. But, yeah, I think Jackson Chris, when he didn't have pressure in his face, I think he looked, like, pretty calm. He made a couple good throws. And, like I said, like, getting the ball out quickly is definitely something that the Warhawks are very good at. And I liked how Chris was getting the ball out quickly, and it just felt like it's something that he's good at. I also thought the run game was good as well.
I think there's a silver lining a little bit. There are some from this game. Like, obviously, it wasn't all negative.
Yeah.
Like, Platteville is a very good team this year. They went into their place, held them to 17, which the defense played well, besides the 2 huge chunk plays.
In the first half, they played amazing. So
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I'd
even
I'd say
until the
first three
fourth
quarters.
until the
Yeah,
fourth quarter,
especially.
they were
Just the
lights
fourth
out.
quarter.
I mean, put a 435 yards on him. It's not a bad
Yeah, we
game
outplayed
at
him,
all.
to be honest.
just couldn't get into
Well,
the end zone.
it kind
That
of
was
felt like
problem.
the same way the game went last year or 2 years ago when we played against Platteville. We outgained them, I think, in that game, like over 300 to like 160.
Yeah.
But Lewandowski threw like 4 picks, and we had a forced fumble that got turned over, and they beat us like 17-13.
Yeah,
you take away all that, and we, like, total yards wise, we outplayed them. First downs, we outplayed them. We outran them. We just didn't outthrow them. That was the only thing.
Well, you take away the 92-yard touchdown throw, and they're at 200 passing yards pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Well, and adding on to what you said earlier with the with us getting stuffed at the 8 at 4th and goal, I feel like that also just a big momentum switch late in the game really can just rally the troops, and I think that really is what happened for Platteville, especially after the 92-yarder. That I think ultimately that's what really kind of settled it, started the rally. The troops got fired up, and just they were out there. They played electric, and they won.
I mean, Platteville's come into this game on a high this year. This is one of the best seasons they've had in a long time, too. So it's like they're coming into this riding high. They were actually, like, for the first time against Whitewater in forever, pretty much, probably considered the favorites in this game. And I don't know if that's happened, like I said, in a long time. So it's just a different way to look at it. But, Laz, I want to look forward to this weekend's game against River Falls. What are you expecting?
It's going to be a tough match, man. I mean, River Falls is one of the better teams in the WEAC, and they're playing a Warhawk team that's seen a lot of struggles recently offensively. I mean, we have a good defense, man. It's just I don't know. Maybe they're in their own heads. I don't want to say River Falls is going to pull it off because, you know, I'm a Warhawk through and through. That's
Yeah.
that. I bleed purple. But they might, you know, they might.
I mean, this is definitely the most vulnerable Whitewater's looked in, like we said, a long time.
Yeah.
But River Falls, their starting quarterback, Caleb Blaha, has not appeared in games for a while either.
Caleb who?
Blaha is his last name. He's quite...
It's a fire
Baja
last name.
Blast.
Caleb Baja Blast. We'll go with that. But they've been running a different quarterback rotation ever since then. They just lost a heartbreaker to UW Lacrosse 28-24 over the weekend. Both of these teams and Lacrosse all have 2 conference losses. Oshkosh and Platteville sit atop with 1, which I don't think anybody would have predicted that going into this year. But Colin, I also want to ask you about this game and then looking forward to Lacrosse as well.
Yeah, you look at River Falls, they're averaging the most points in the WEAC. They're averaging over 45 points a game. And our defense has been good, but they've just been giving up a lot of big plays, which has been very detrimental. Like, you look at that Platteville game where we're playing good defense the whole game. Everything's going good until that 4th down try, which I think we never should have tried at all. Just taking the 3 points, extend that lead, and then trust your defense. But then they go out and get a 92-yarder. So we'll play good for a whole quarter at a time, and then boom, one big play, big touchdown, and that's why we're losing these games. Like, our defense just hasn't been staying focused enough to play consistent.
I mean, and we saw that against Mary Hardin Baylor here earlier this year, too, where it's like, obviously they had, I think it was 8 turnovers in that game, which it's really hard to win in that situation.
That
but,
was a tough game to watch.
But the killer in that game was the 96-yard touchdown that they ran for. It just kind of felt like that was the nail in the coffin.
I felt like the nail in the coffin was Jason Cincinnati threw his 3rd pick of the first quarter.
Yeah, but I
On
mean,
the 3rd drive.
I had seen last year there was a game against Wheaton College when they came up here in the playoffs and took a 28-14 lead over Whitewater into halftime. And we saw in the second half, Whitewater kind of got their stuff together and then ended up winning 49-42. So I was not it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for me to see the offense clean it up, but on that day.
Yeah.
And it seems like for the most part this season, they just have not been clean, efficient, and just the machine we've known them to be because the run game's not nearly what it's been the last few years either.
Yeah, we're still averaging a lot of rushing yards. I believe we're leading the WEAC in rushing yards, but we just haven't had those explosive plays like we're used to seeing out of the backfield. And I think a lot of that is due to the poor offensive line play. Like we talked about, there was so much pressure put onto Chris, which was forcing him to throw bad throws or throw it quickly. And just, the pocket was collapsing so quick. So even when you're running the ball, when the pocket is collapsing that quick, there's nowhere to go with it. You just, guys like Brian Stanton and Tamir Thomas just haven't had any holes to really make anything happen. So we've seen a lot of 5-6 yard pickups moving the chains, but then just no big plays to really get us on the board.
I mean, Tamir this year as well hasn't really shown as much of that breakaway
No.
speed that we've known him for the last few years either. I mean, only 4.6 yards per carry. I mean, some of that has to go to the offensive line as well. But you see Noah Battle come in the game and average 7 yards per carry as well. I mean, he had a 55-yarder, which is the majority of those yards. But, I mean, either way, you're seeing other running backs come in and have slightly more success than Tamir is.
Yeah. I also think just anytime you have to switch quarterbacks, not because of an injury, but because of poor play halfway through the year, you're not looking great. There's a reason they started Jason Cincinnati to start the year, not Jackson Chris, because they thought he was better. Mm-hmm. And he showed
and he came in, he's been the number 2 for a couple of years.
behind
and
Ogden.
Yeah, Ogden and Lewandowski before that, and he just was unable to really cement himself in that starting QB role. The offense the passing game when he was out there just had a really tough time getting going.
And even with Jackson Chris, he's shown a lot better ball placement and like Ryan was saying, a lot more calm under pressure. and just being able to make better plays. But it's just those costly turnovers, and that's what we saw with Cinetti too. Like that last drive where we still got a chance to go get a touchdown and take the lead. He just throws a pick where there was no Whitewater receiver even in the same, stratosphere. He just threw it right to Platteville.
It almost feels like they have a couple of good reads and then they just have one or two bad mistakes and it costs them.
Same thing with the defense and offense. You'll be having these big long drives where you're pushing the ball, running it, pounding the rock, getting these 5-6 yard pickups, first down. We're going to score? No, pick right at the end. Wasting all this clock just to give up a turnover and then playing great defense for 3 or 4 plays at a time, then boom, touchdown. It's like they just can't keep it together.
Well, I mean, and even on that third down play, it was like 3rd and 9 or something like that. Like they had gotten stops on the previous 2 plays. It was 3rd and long, and they took the deep shot, and Priami was able to connect with Brant Stair. But really quickly, I want to touch on the receiving core as well. Brian Wilterdink has really emerged, but one thing I've kind of noticed is Tyler Vasey, I think, needs to be more involved in this offense.
I mean,
are you guys with me on this?
He's only a
Yes,
sophomore, and he's getting kick returns every week almost.
Teams are kicking away from him at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. They're kicking it to Haggerty instead. But Tyler Vasey's just like really elusive, really able to find holes and stay away from the defense, and that's why he's been able to get so many yards. And they don't really use him as like a wide receiver 1 option. They use him like more for trick plays or throwing him in motion, or I even think we saw a direct snap to him a couple of weeks ago.
Well, we've seen Brian Wilterdink really pick it up the last few weeks too, which is good to see. But I feel like Wilterdink and Vasey might have to be the top 2 going forward. Stephen Hines struggled a little bit this year. Blake Haggerty's been a little inconsistent as well. I believe there was a deep ball that Chris put like right on him, and he just dropped it this weekend. And I mean, I have brick hands, so I can't really speak on this too much. But I feel like if you get a decent hand on the ball, you should be able to come down with it.
Especially
If you're
in
playing
D3,
college football.
Yeah, that's
D3
why you're not on the
NCAA
football team.
If you're playing
Chris.
college football
These
with
guys
football gloves.
are playing college football. And
I mean, because
no
Haggerty had
discredit.
the burners on. That would have been a house call, but he just dropped it.
That's another
It might have
thing
been a
with the
little
offense.
behind him, but if you get hands on it, you should catch it.
You'll see these plays develop where you've got a man streaking down the field wide open, and either the ball's too short, too far, or great ball placement and just the hands aren't there. So just way too many mistakes by the offense.
I mean, that's
and
what
the
happened
defense.
this past weekend with Chris. We saw just that underthrown ball that resulted in a pick, which after not taking the 3 points, it was kind of like, and letting up the 10 points after that. And then that pick kind of just cemented the game,
I just
Yeah,
really,
it put the Warhawks in a really tough spot.
that decision to go for it on 4th, I'm watching the game. I'm like, we're up 3. We kick this field goal, we're up 6. Yeah, they could still take the lead with the touchdown, but we're
But then
giving
all you
ourselves
need is a
cushion.
field goal.
We're giving ourselves a cushion, and we have a chance to beat the best team in our conference when we need that win. Obviously, this loss puts it at a point where we're most likely not going to make the playoffs. We can't even control our own path to the playoffs. We have to win out, and all these other things have to happen now for us to make the playoffs. So you go for it on 4th there, then you just got rid of your chances of beating the best team in your conference.
But not only that, Platteville's gotten through what I call the WEAC gauntlet.
Yeah.
Because Stout, they're done with. I think Stout is also 3-1 right now, and they're receiving votes in the top 25. So if Whitewater wants any chance of being able to make the NCAA tournament, Platteville's got Stevens Point, who, as we discussed, is pretty much, I mean, it's
Just put
almost
the,
a
put the
dialed-in
W.
W.
That'll be a
Put the
game
W
for
on the
sure.
schedule.
Eau Claire is, about the same. Eau Claire is better than Stevens Point. They blanked them, actually. But I feel like Platteville should be able to handle them. But, yeah, Whitewater's going to need a lot of things to go their way if they want to make the playoffs. Does anyone else have any thoughts on this before we move on?
I was just going to add, we have 3 freshman quarterbacks on the roster this year. Do you think it'll be this bad next year? Or do we get, a transfer?
I would say, because last year Cinetti was pegged to be the starter. However, Ogden transferred in as a grad student for his 5th year of eligibility. I think anything is possible, to be honest, because both Chris and Cinetti will be gone after this year. So it's my belief that they're probably going to go with a transfer just because Whitewater's not exactly the rebuild type of program where it's you're going to tear it all down and start back over. It's at Whitewater, the expectation is to win, and we have not met that so far this year.
There's just there's a gap. We're having inconsistent play with senior quarterbacks, and you're going to trust 3 freshmen that haven't touched the field all year this year. What's the difference going to be next year?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered in this upcoming offseason. But with that, we're going to move on to our second topic of today, which is NBA overreactions. And The first one, each person's going to share one. I'll just only share one just for time's sake so we can get on to our next topic as well. My one overreaction, and I've talked about this, not to this extent, but the Bucks will miss the play-in this year, and they will trade their major core pieces. I want to hear everyone's reaction, starting with Laz.
Yeah, I mean they're at least gonna get rid of the coaching. We've seen, well, what was his name? Adrian
Griffin.
Yeah, I mean he's had a better better record than Doc.
Doc has been under 500 since taking over the Bucks.
Exactly.
Which is ridiculous.
So I mean I think getting rid of him originally was already a big mistake. I definitely wouldn't say that they're gonna miss the play-in, let alone the playoffs. I just don't think that they're going to get rid of their core yet. Depending on, say they go out to like the Heat again, then I could see them getting rid of their core. But if they're going out to like a team and they're fully healthy, say the Bucks are fully healthy, and
which rarely happens.
Right. I mean, say their main guys are healthy.
Middleton, Dame, and Giannis are all out there healthy.
If they're healthy and they lose, yes, I could see a trade happening. But if they're hurt or just, I don't know, lose to a great team, then no, I can't really see them getting rid of that core.
My counterpoint to you talking about the firing of coaching is they're already paying 3 coaches right now in Mike Budenholzer, who they fired, Adrian Griffin, they still have to pay out his contract, and they're paying Doc Rivers. So that makes me think, and Doc signed a long-term extension the second they hired him on. That makes me think he's not going anywhere.
Why would you sign Doc Rivers to an extension?
Because apparently the Bucks ownership was still on the Doc Rivers as a good coach hype train.
He's not.
Which is obviously been widely debunked at this point.
He's proved that his last 3 teams that he's not a good coach. I don't know why they would give him that extension. But yeah, he's definitely gone. I wouldn't be surprised if they fired him mid-season.
I would hope so, because I'm tired of watching this. It's just depressing.
I'll give you some leeway. It is an overreaction. I don't think they're going to miss the plan. Will they make the playoffs outright? I don't know. I think they'll be a 7 through 10 seed at this point. They're 1-3 already.
They look horrible.
I mean, they lost. It's not like they've been losing to good teams. They lost to the Bulls.
I mean, they played Boston
Bulls are
tough for
great team.
3 quarters yesterday, but I mean, it just felt like, to be honest, watching that, it felt like men against boys a little bit.
Yeah, Bobby Portis was minus 21 versus the Nets, which is I love Bobby. He's from the same town as me, Little Rock, Arkansas. But you're not cutting it, dude. We might have to. I mean, last year there were concerns over his play. He was very inconsistent, and now this year going out and minus 21 versus the Nets? Come on.
It feels like the team, like Giannis said, I think it was on Sunday, they don't have an identity. You don't know what this team is going to bring day in and day out. They're not necessarily, they're old. There's no doubt about that.
I also have this in my notes. Pat Connaughton is dog buns.
That's the lightest way of putting it.
That's all I have to say about Pat Connaughton.
Okay, so going back to what you were saying about the Nets, really quick, I just want to say that the Ben Simmons cycle is officially in full effect.
Broke his back again.
lower back injury management has been ruled out for Tuesday's game against Denver.
Man.
And so it begins.
Yep. Here we go.
And we're back.
4 games into the season.
No, look at that. Ben
Yeah, I know,
Simmons,
I
lower
saw
back
that.
injury management. Dude, summer hype video of him drilling threes from deep.
Yeah, right.
We are
Like
in
anyone
stage-
believes that.
We are in stage 2 right now.
The mysterious phantom back injury stage.
And it's at the point where I'd be more surprised if it didn't happen. I'd
Right.
be more surprised if he played a full 82-game season than him getting
I'd be
hurt
surprised if he
5
played a
games
full, 30 games.
in. If he played a month.
Yeah.
At this point, I can't really argue with either of those, but Ryan, your reaction.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks, they're getting no help from their bench, which their championship season was where their bench was actually consistent. They were providing points, they're providing actual basketball to the court. And when we're running out younger guys in AJ Green and Marjan Beauchamp, who are good players in my opinion.
I would not say Marjan is, but go on.
I think Marjan has he looks like young Giannis to me. I'm not comparing him to Giannis at all.
Whoa,
I'm
yeah,
not-
that's a bit of a
I'm
stretch.
not, but he's tall, he's lanky, and he has athletic ability.
So is Chris. You think he's playing on the Bucks?
Minus
So
the athletic
his
ability
brother Greg
part.
got those genes. But
Jeez.
Shout out Greg Pittner.
no, but we're just not getting help from the bench whatsoever, and we're having like 40-year-old Brooke Lopez out there running up and down the
Now
court.
that is a qualm I've had with this team for
like, he's
upwards of 2
awful.
years
he's
now.
Horrible. And
I
we're
wouldn't
still-
say he's an awful player. However, it's just
He's an oaf.
he's a liability.
He's a big
He's
oaf.
turned into Robin Lopez at this
pretty
point.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's turned into his
With a
brother.
Yes.
slightly better 3-point shot.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if Robin shaved his head and just started playing for the Bucks.
He pulled
Are we
off
sure
worse
Robin's not out there right
jersey
now? Is that not Robin Lopez playing right now?
It
maybe?
is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
It's-
sure it is. We're going to see him fighting Benny the Bull next game.
I appreciate what Brooks done for the Bucks, but it's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
It's time to
You
got
got
your
your
tie.
ring, fella.
Thank you, Milwaukee
Get
fans.
out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I'm already dropping the thank
Yeah.
you, Milwaukee Bucks fans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thank you Brewers fans post came right away too.
That came like
Came-
halfway through summer. I remember seeing that in the group chat.
On to Mikey really quick.
Well, I'm just gonna say I knew the Bucks were gonna be absolute bums the entire time, especially when they lost to the Bulls on October 25th. Just put a smile on my face. Bulls are gonna win the Central for sure. No doubt
I
in
would
my
say
mind.
the Cavs or the,
The Cavs are
Pacers
4
got it.
and 0.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Cavs are 4-0.
But I don't think that they're gonna trade any of their core pieces this season. At least I don't think they'll miss the play-in. I think they're gonna be probably in the top 6. It'll be a low seed, like 4 to 6 range. I think. I don't think they're gonna make the top 3 this season for the Bucks. But I think that they won't trade anyone this season. But I think by midway next season, if it's just not working out, they're floating around 500. I think they'll probably try to pull the plug on the team.
You think they can make the top 6 seed in the East with Doc Rivers? As
I'm
their head
not
coach?
sure if I'm not confident they can even make the 8 seed.
I don't know if that's possible.
I think they can maybe
Doc
do it.
Rivers.
I'm not guaranteeing anything.
And I mean,
here.
I feel like just having Darvin Ham sandwich on your sideline just like
Oh my
decreases team
God, I
morale
forgot
so
he was-
much. He's just sitting there smiling.
Nodding.
Coach, what's the play?
I didn't even realize the Bucks were 14th in the East right now.
Yeah.
Granted,
I mean,
season just
it's 4
started.
games in.
Seeing
Season
the-
just
The
started.
Nuggets are on the bottom of
But
the
look at
West.
that.
Seeing the
Look at that.
Bucks next to the Pistons
Yeah.
is just sad.
Yeah, it is.
It shows
smile on my
it's a
face.
searing
But
indictment.
hey, can we talk about the Detroit Pistons' consistency? Bottom of the standings once again. That is called consistency.
All right, really
right
quick,
there.
I want to throw it over to Alex before we move on to everyone else's overreactions.
So, yeah, there's not really much else to say, but yeah, I really do think Doc Rivers is just not the answer at all. I mean, even Giannis saying we don't have an identity just throws so much shade at the guy, and I don't see Doc Rivers being the Bucks head coach for much longer, but if he signed that contract, then who knows?
It was a big deal,
Yeah, I
too.
didn't- I
It's
didn't
not
know he
like he
signed
can
that
necessarily just jump right out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But really quick, on to Laz. What's your overreaction?
Wow.
I
glad
wonder.
you, I'm
I
glad
wonder
you
what
asked.
it's gonna
I have
be.
a
Right,
feeling
grab
I
your
know what this
popcorn,
is going to
ladies
be,
and
so we're just going to
gentlemen.
group
I have
all
no
the
idea what he's
reactions.
about to say,
Here we
actually.
go.
All right. 4
Surely
games into the
something about
season,
Clippers.
and I'm already excited. Let me tell you why.
And there's reason to be excited.
And there is reason to be excited because Anthony Davis is
Dog.
playing out of his mind recently. He's playing out of his mind. He's averaging like 31 and
What are you
10.
doing?
What did I do?
What are you doing?
I'm
trying to do my thing.
Can you let Laz talk?
Can we let Laz cook real quick?
Can
Let
you
him do
mute
his
the
thing.
fishbowl real quick?
Yeah, I got you.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Anyway, it's good to see the Lakers playing well. I think that they're gonna finish top 3 in the West. God, it's gonna be the year where we're gonna sweep the Nuggets this year. Let me tell you.
All
We're
right,
gonna
Fishbowl is back on.
We're gonna sweep the Nuggets this year. Jamal Murray's gonna retire. Anthony Davis, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and that's not even that huge of an overreaction. Like I'm dead serious.
'Cause
He's playing out of his mind.
He's the most
right now.
garbage player I've ever seen average like 30 and 10. It's like you'll say he's terrible, and then he drops 35 and 10 every game.
So you're saying he's inconsistent?
He's in
What
his
do you mean?
prime.
He's terrible.
I don't
He's
know.
in his New
Orleans
It's like you'll
Pelicans
see a
prime
couple
right now.
moments where he gets embarrassed, and you're like, oh, he sucks, and then you actually check the box score, and he played incredible. It's like he'll have like this one moment every game where he just looks terrible. If that makes
I
sense.
guess.
Like
But
he'll
at the
airball a
same
3,
time-
and you'll be like, oh, he sucks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you could say the same thing about like Giannis though.
Yep.
He's so awkward. He makes a lot of stupid plays.
But I mean, they've already had a tough 4 games coming out playing against Minnesota, Phoenix, Sacramento, and then Phoenix again. That game against Phoenix was tough. It took LeBron James, like Colin said before the show, like the worst game he's played in 20 years for the Suns to beat us, or us. us.
We're on the team.
Yeah.
Minority owners.
Right.
Obviously.
But beating Minnesota, beating Phoenix, beating Sacramento, a team who Anthony Davis hasn't beaten since he's been in the league,
That was such a nice win.
it was so good.
Oh.
So good. Lakers, hang the banner. Hang the banner.
Wow.
Why not?
Hang the banner.
We beat the Kings. Hang it up. On to Colin.
Who've you
All
beat
right.
this year, huh?
I'm sure none of you would expect this out of me.
Oh wow.
But I've
Let me
got
guess.
3 words for you, and 3 words is all I need.
Let me guess. 81 and 1.
81 and 1.
Wow.
Y'all are making my team tame today.
I can't. He said a lot of stuff. We're just big Laker guys, and for a good reason right now. They're playing great
You
basketball.
can't argue with the stats.
I mean, you look at JJ Redick. He's actually out there talking, which is just so great to see from our head basketball coach. Hands out of his pockets, drawing up plays. That offense looks so fluid. We got a dog in Dalton Connett out there hitting threes from behind the back LeBron passes. And like you said, we've beaten 3 good teams so far. And it took LeBron James, worst game since he was like 15 years old, to
Since
lose
he
in
was
high school.
since he played football as
Since
a
he
main
was-
sport.
Yeah, since he was back in the womb. Just for the Suns to beat. I'm trying not to say us right now.
You can say it. You
Beat
can
the
say it.
Lakers.
Just for the Suns to beat the Lakers by 3 points. I mean, if LeBron puts up a normal LeBron game, say 25, 8 and 8, we win that game by 10 plus.
Yeah.
So it's like the defense has been great. The shooting's been a lot better. The offense just looks so much more fluid. The Lakers are winning the championship, and the Nuggets are not making the playoffs.
I mean, if you guys just score more points than the Suns, you have a pretty good chance of winning.
statistically, I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah, correct. That is how the
60% of the
game
time, it works every time.
According to my research, you're right about that one, Chris.
All right,
Yeah,
on to
Nuggets are also
Ryan.
buns.
My overreaction is that I think the Cavs and Magic will be the 2 of the top 3 seeds at the end of the year. Both of them making, they'll see each other
Along
in
with
the Eastern
Boston,
Conference
probably.
Finals.
So you think Boston goes out?
I think Boston goes out, and it's Cavs and Magic in Eastern Conference Finals.
That is a take.
Yeah. They're playing amazing right now. I mean, Colin and I have talked about it that Paolo Banchero's sophomore year is going to go crazy, and he
Third
has
year.
been
His
a dog.
third
Junior
year.
year.
Or
Junior
His
third
junior year.
Junior year, excuse me. He's a
50?
dog.
50?
37 and
37 and a
times.
half
I
is
thought he was going to drop
ridiculous.
70, bro.
Dude.
You know,
It's-
before the game, I just had a feeling. You know, he was gonna.
Did
I
he
knew
not have a
Paolo Banchero was gonna
triple-double
drop
yesterday,
50.
too? Or
I think he was
He was
one
close.
assist
he was
shy.
like, well, yeah, he
Yeah,
was
it was
right
a
there.
double.
Yeah.
Double.
He had a double-double at halftime, didn't he?
It was close. It wasn't
He
quite,
had
but
37, 8 and 7 at half.
Yeah.
Something
it was
like that.
ridiculous. And
it was a crazy stat
He's a
line.
bad man.
and he's just getting so much help from supporting cast, and unlike the Bucks. But I mean, and then going to the Cavs, like Mitchell, Garland, Allen, and Mobley are like
That's quite the team.
that is a core of 4 players that I would want to have on my basketball team, and they're showing it right now as being 4-0. They're all playing out of their minds, and everything's just going right for these 2 teams. I don't think that they're gonna be 81-1 like the Lakers fans over here think they're gonna be.
What do you mean think?
They know.
They
Yeah,
know.
that's a.
Sorry, the
I almost
prophecies
didn't want to
know.
put that as my overreaction because it's just like a reaction.
It is a reaction.
It's more like a
The
underreaction,
overreaction
to be
is that
honest.
Adam Silver undoes the loss and makes them 82-0.
Actually, yeah, that never happened, by the way.
Yeah, but I think they're bound to fall a little bit, but at the end of the year, I think they make the Eastern Conference Finals, and we see one of those 2 teams in the finals
Interesting. I like the parody.
Against the Rockets.
I like the parody because
against the Rockets.
that is an
Right now.
overreaction.
All right.
But
Now you're just saying stuff.
yeah.
No,
not-
Rockets riding high.
all right.
Jalen Green's
Poor
him.
Mike is gonna
Jalen
get
Green
muted
is
pretty
him.
soon. All right, on to Mikey.
Bulls are a top 5 team in the East. It's that simple. They're going to the playoffs. They're the second best team in the Central Division, behind the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You think they're better than Indy?
Right now they are.
Wait, what happened to
Four
like
games.
Yeah, the Bulls
20
are in
minutes
fifth
ago
right
when you
now.
said the Bulls were going to win their division?
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
Oh well.
you did
oops.
say that.
Stand on that business.
Well, I'm
Yeah, you gotta stick with
I'm
it.
knocking them down a level because Patrick Williams is still on the team, so I'm not really trusting Patrick Williams.
Shout out Lonzo Ball.
I just
Good
don't
to
know
see
if
him.
they're
But,
good enough
Col-
to be a top 5 seed necessarily.
Well,
Kobe
they-
White,
You can
dog.
check it out right now.
I can tell you
Well,
with
like after 4 games.
100% certainty the Bulls will be a top 15 seed in the East this year.
Yep.
According to my research, you're right about
Wait,
that.
did you say
Colin.
top 5 because they're literally at 5th right now?
No, they're just gonna be a top 5
Oh.
team by the end of the year. It's
Because
gonna
they're
happen.
at 5 right
Kobe
now.
I mean, the
White-
Wizards
Kobe White-
are above the Wizards are in the playoffs if the season ended today. So
Bulls are too.
And the
But Kobe
Bucks.
White, dog, dropped
Ah, well.
35 on the
Tanking
Bucks.
for Cooper
the fries
Cup.
are already in the
Cooper
bag.
Flag.
Where are the Wizards? Oh, there's 7.
which is wild. It's
Yeah.
a pool party.
Who-
What can I say?
Has Jordan
It's a
Poole
full
actually been playing good?
Yeah, he has
has.
been.
He has.
Wow. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah,
Dude,
the most
Kuzma's-
unserious player in the NBA.
Kuzma is chucking up shots like he's hammered out there.
I would be
Like,
too if I played for the
he's like-
Washington Wizards.
He's like somebody's unk at the cookout. He's just like,
Swing me the rock, young
Yeah.
blood.
They're the most unserious team in the NBA.
Dude, if I was on the Wizards, every time I touched the ball, I'd be like, Kobe!
I would be,
Dude.
I would punt the ball from the other end. Of the,
I feel like I'm playing for the Wizards for my intramural basketball team.
Yeah,
I'm out there
yeah.
hucking up shots, dude.
Don't let me get the ball in intramural. I
No.
will shoot it.
yeah, yeah.
I will get my 15 shots in per game, regardless of who's on my team. All right, really quick, Alex, before we move on.
So yeah, I've seen enough. I mean, Anthony Davis MVP. Through the first few games, there have not been a better two-way player. I mean, as of today, he leads the league in scoring. That's MVP caliber. Time of possession is up. His free throw rate is double what it was last year. When he's aggressive, he's a problem. When he's observant, he's unstoppable.
Scott
Whoa.
might be,
MVP, talk
might be the
soon.
only guy in the
Whoa.
fishbowl who
Talk
knows what he's
soon,
talking
Anthony
about.
Davis MVP.
That was actually a bar you just dropped.
That
Oh, yeah.
was.
It really
I had it
was.
all- I had
You
it
say
all
when
wrote
he's
Can you say it
aggressive,
again?
he's a problem. When he's observant, he's
Can you say?
unstoppable.
Put that
Can
on
you
a
say it
t-shirt.
again?
Can I get that tattooed
When
on
he's
my chest
aggressive,
or
he's a
something?
problem. When he's observant, he's unstoppable.
Wow.
Wow.
I might
Wow.
get that.
That was
tatted on, like, my
impressive.
neck or
Was that off the
That's
dome,
my
or did you have
credo.
that prepared?
I did have it prepared.
Either way,
Just
though.
say it's-
No, come on,
Just
come
say
on.
it's off the dome next time. We'll all
that's gotta be a
believe you.
quote. It's gotta be
Yeah.
an
Yeah,
Alex
bro.
quote.
Don't
You
be
could've-
afraid to lie.
I'm like, dude, you're gonna have a future in commentating. That's all I'm
we
gonna
need a-
say.
Dishonesty
white-
is the best policy.
We need a whiteboard right now, just Alex Limboom quotes right now.
Right.
We
Alex,
need
I'll
it.
be watching you on NBA The Jump in 10 years.
This guy's got to come with a quote every week now.
He really does.
Yeah, what's the limb
No
bloom
pressure.
quote of the week?
The limb bloom
New
line.
segment.
The
We're
limb
gonna,
The
bloom
limb
we're
line.
gonna,
line.
we're gonna have a
Limb bloom
whiteboard
line.
Come with
above
the
the
bar. Come with the
fishbowl.
bar
It's
every
just
week.
gonna be
All
all
this
his
creativity
quotes.
in the
I'll
fishbowl.
buy a
right
whiteboard. We'll put it right there.
I like it.
So, okay.
These are some good
Nobody can
ideas.
see it.
But moving on really quick, I appreciate all the overreactions and some basketball talk, but I want to get to really quick before we go to final thoughts. This weekend, the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions face off in a major NFC North matchup at Lambeau Field, but Green Bay could be without several key pieces in Evan Williams, their rookie standout safety, Jair, and potentially Jordan Love. Alex, I'll give you the floor on this one. Not being an NFC North fan, what are your thoughts so far, or what do you think could happen in this game?
So I did end up watching the Packers-Jags game. There were a couple too many big plays that the Packers gave up against the Jags. I mean, they were terrible in the red zone and couldn't tackle. The Jags trio is solid, and they have great weapons for D-Law. I mean, given that Brian Thomas is going to dominate in the NFL for a long time. Kirk's an established playmaker, and Ingram caught the second most passes for a tight end in the NFL history last year. But, yeah, in all honesty, the Jags' passing attack destroyed the Packers last Sunday. I mean, Lawrence threw for 308 yards despite Thomas and Kirk dropping out with injuries. And the Packers are also one of those teams that play to their competition's level. You kind of see. So yeah, you see it time and time again. Like I believe this is one of those games where the Packers kind of played down to their competition.
Played down against the Lions?
No, against
against
the
the
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Oh, okay.
But I do believe
Wrong,
the
big
Packers will
cat.
play up to the Lions. I feel like because the Packers are one of those teams, they kind of play to their competition's level, and I think that's their best chance. I think the best chance is with Jordan Love at the helm, to be honest. He does make bad decisions, but
He reminds me of Jordan Poole.
A little bit.
Kind of.
but
I could see it.
I think he cooks when it
Just,
when
like,
it matters. So
nonchalant.
I think both teams have a chance here. I think the Packers definitely have a chance against the Lions at home.
All right, I'm gonna toss this over to Mikey because I have a feeling there might be a differing opinion.
Why do you say that? I agree with him. I think that Green Bay has a true chance. Even if Jordan Love doesn't play, we've seen Malik Willis this season so far.
We have no chance without Jordan Love.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
But with Matt
Don't say
LaFleur,
that.
Malik
I'm
Willis
sorry.
has been pretty decent. I know it's been against.
LaFleur's in his bag when
He's been-
Malik is on the
That
field.
is-
When Malik's on the field, LaFleur's in his bag. That is true. But ultimately, Malik Willis so far, when he's on the field, Green Bay is 3-0. And he's played solid in LaFleur's system. I think even if we do not have Love, I think there's a chance Tom Clements has done a really good job with Packers QBs, including Jordan Love himself. So ultimately, I think even if Love isn't there, I think the offense will be all right. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm not saying they're going to drop 35 on the Lions. But I think it'll be good enough to maybe hang with the Lions, depending on how the defense does. And I think that's going to be the key part, is if the defense can stop the Lions' overpowering offense.
And my question is, going off of that, if Evan Williams and Jair are both out, is there even a chance?
No.
I would say no.
I don't want to say no, but more than likely. I think if Evan Williams is out there, I think if there's no Jair, I think they still have a shot. maybe, but
But then we have to see Eric Stokes on the
Yeah,
field for
but then
60 minutes, and
Eric
that's far from
Stokes,
ideal.
Yeah, pretty much the corner room is Jair Alexander, and well, that's really it. Just Jair Alexander. Ultimately, the safeties are kind of the key parts of the DB room. It's just I don't really know what will happen. I couldn't tell you.
At times, it feels like Xavier McKinney's that Bentley outside the trailer home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bow tie on a turd.
I mean, he's just right place,
Pretty
right
much.
time.
I've heard that one before. Wow.
He's just right place, right time, though, is McKinney, when he gets his pick.
Well, I mean, and
Well,
he,
I think that's a lot
he's-
of interceptions.
He's got great awareness. Like some of those interceptions, like the one that he had this weekend was pretty
It
much it was easy,
was
but there's
right.
ones where he's made plays.
Well,
like
yeah.
I
I
think
think
it
his
was the
first
one
one-
against Tennessee. He made a play in that game.
His first one, I'd say, was a play as well.
And the one versus the Vikings, too, when he was at, like, the one.
Yeah, I mean, like there's
That wasn't
times like
actually an interception. That was
Trevor
called a
Lawrence
pick.
pretty much threw it to him on a rope this week, but otherwise it's like a lot of the other times he's actually had to make the play. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'm agree with Mikey. I think if Malik Willis does start, I think there's obviously a chance. I mean, LaFleur is able to. I feel like he makes better play calls with a more dynamic quarterback because we have Willis's running ability more than Jordan Love does. I think you rest Love this week because the Packers have a bye week next week. You come back, you beat the Bears in Chicago, and let's see if Willis can build off on his 2.5-0 wins that he has. Right now he's 29 for 39 for 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, and then on the ground he's 16 for 116 and a touchdown in four games played. So like he's only played with a purpose in 3 of them, but he's played like as good as a backup really can play for you.
You can't ask for much more.
You really can't. And I honestly thought without Jordan Love, if he were still healthy, I think the Packers probably could have thought about trading Willis because his
Well, they
stock
traded
has
for
rose
him.
so much.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
could get a decent pick out of
You
him.
could. I mean,
Well, I mean, and
Yeah.
you
we
got
traded
him.
a 7th for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say you traded pennies on the dollar, like a guy
Exactly.
that might not even make your roster ever
We
for
might
him.
trim him in the offseason if his stock is high. Still, if Love is still out for a couple weeks.
There's gonna probably be a team that
There will be
bites.
teams
I think-
calling.
Or is Willis on his last year of his rookie deal? I think he
Probably.
might be. I think he's on the last year of his rookie deal, though, so I don't know if the offseason would be available to trade him.
Well, my
Unless you give him an
question
extension.
is really quick. I want to pose this to both of you guys too. Does the LaFleur offense work better with a running, like a dual threat quarterback, do you think, or more of a pocket presence? Because we've seen 2 different pocket passers in the system now, and now we're seeing kind of what a dual threat could do.
I think it just gives him more options for play calling. When you have a dual threat quarterback like that, we've seen how creative he's been able to get when Malik Willis is out there. And I think having Malik Willis out there just really lets him like showcase his ability. So yeah, I'd say more with the
Like,
dual
could you
threat.
imagine him with like a Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, well, and we
Crazy.
see LaFleur like
17.
we see him give play calls to Willis that Willis is comfortable with calling, and he has the option to run or pass the ball. And Willis does have 1 more year on his contract, so he'll be here next year. So we could trade him in the offseason. But I mean, Willis, he's been a very good backup for us. Is all I'll say.
There's serviceable is probably the lightest word that I could
Since
use.
Matt Flynn.
Yep,
Oh,
definitely.
Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn.
Like
What a
when
guy.
Matt Flynn, legacy
Seattle,
game.
Seattle Seahawks,
That was fun.
one of the worst contracts ever. Seattle with Mike Flynn. Matt
With
Flynn.
Mike Flynn,
That's
yep.
it, Mike. Oops.
My favorite
Yep.
quarterback.
Mike Flynn.
Michael
I love Mike
Flynn.
Flynn.
All
Matt
right,
Flynn.
on to Colin really quick. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I'm as big of a Malik Willis fan as anybody, but we haven't really seen him shred up too good of a defense
Shut
yet. And we're playing a Lions team that only allows 19 points a game, but they do give up 247 passing yards a game. So if Love's out there, we know he loves to slang that thing. And I think that's exactly what he'll do. I think the Lions secondary, though this team is so good, 6-1, I think the secondary is the weak point that we're going to have to attack because we're going to have to put up points. This is a team that averages over 33 points a game. We saw him put up 52 last week.
And their offensive coordinator just becomes more of a madman with every passing week.
Absolutely. I mean, he's
Eventually, it's going to bite him.
David Montgomery
Eventually.
throwing touchdowns.
yeah.
Eventually, it's going to backfire. There's
Dude,
going to be
Ben-
that one
Ben-
time
We
where
Yeah.
it
saw
will
we
backfire.
saw their strategy backfire against San Francisco last year, and when it backfires hard.
Yeah, but Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell as 2 coaches being in the same room, that's got to be pretty creative and fun to be in.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
will say Robert Saleh was at the
That he
Packers
was.
practice, so whoop whoop.
And
I
the
guess.
defense got worse.
Well, he wasn't
Yeah.
in the defensive room. He was in
Yeah,
the
it was for
offense.
more.
That
of
might
the
be why the
offense.
offense looked bad at times.
The Lions' rushing game is really good as well. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery both have over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season. And Jared Goff is putting up an MVP campaign right now, so that offense is so dangerous. It's going to be a battle with the play calling, who can get more creative, who can make the right adjustments at the right time. I'd say the Lions, completely unbiased, I'd pick the Lions in this one. I think it's going to take Packers getting healthy. We need Alexander out there.
Jeez.
This thing, sorry. Straight out of Cuba.
Just the bling.
But it's going to take Jordan Love getting healthy. I love Malik Willis. Like I said, I don't think we have a chance of winning this game with him out there. Jordan Love needs to be healthy. Jair Alexander needs to be healthy. And that defense, we need to keep getting turnovers like we've been doing. We've been doing a good job of that. But when it comes to everything else, so they just need to lock in.
Those running backs this week, Monty and Gibbs, it's going to be a buffet for them. Everyone eats.
Yeah, we saw
Golden Corral.
versus the Texans, Mixon was able to just eat up our defense.
Yep.
And now we've got a dual running
When you
back
got
threat.
running backs, one that's so strong and powerful, and then the other one who's just an absolute. What are their nicknames? It's like Sonic, and what's the other one?
Knuckles.
Sonic
Yeah,
and
Sonic
Knuckles.
and
Yep.
Knuckles.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like Knuckles is David Montgomery. He'll run it right down your throat, and then Jahmyr Gibbs will go. He'll go on the outside. He'll get those like pitch plays, and he'll just take them all the way to the house. But really quick, Laz, before we get to final thoughts.
Yeah, the game's in Lambeau, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Yes, it
Lions are
is.
3-0 on the road. The Packers are a really gritty and resilient team, but the Lions are just playing on a whole nother level right now. Offensively, they're only letting up 19 points, you said?
Yeah.
And they're just putting up so much offense. They have
The
their
way that
running
they
back core.
embarrassed the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was
Cowboys have been
ridiculous.
so
I love
bad this year.
What's
Puts a
something
smile
else
on
to
my
note?
face.
The Lions, I swear, every time I watch them this week, they had like a 50-yard punt return on almost everyone, or a kick return. They were set up in such good field position. And with Green Bay's special teams being a concern for a long, long time, I think it's fair to say that this game could get ugly quick.
There is a storm brewing.
Rich
For
Bisaccia,
sure.
lock in.
He better. That's for sure. Brandon McManus, too. This
Yeah,
is
he's
your true
been locked.
test.
Legacy
He's
game
been
for
locked.
Brandon
He's been- yeah.
McManus.
We're going to need it.
Talking about. He's
Back
been
to
locked.
back to back game-winning field goals. I would love that.
I don't think it'll ever be within 3
I hope not.
against this Lions team.
You know,
Malik
if they're
Willis at quarterback,
losing,
it
they'll
will be.
go for every fourth down, even
Yeah.
if it's on their own 10-yard
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Oh, you can put them at the 1 and they'll go for it.
Name a more useless position than a Lions punter. But on to final thoughts now with Laz. Take it away.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
We'll come back. We'll come back.
No, I'm just gonna say. Dodgers sweep, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yankees offense is horrible.
Dodgers sweep.
I actually, I have a question about this really quick that I
We
want to
need
propose. My brother texted me this the other day that the Dodgers are in on Juan Soto this offseason. Do you guys think that's
No.
possible? And if so, is the league just complete? Is it already over?
It can't happen.
It's
It's
definitely
cooked.
possible
It's
because
cooked.
that's
It
the way
can't.
baseball
If
is
that
going.
happens, baseball is officially ruined. Like,
can't
for
happen.
good, it's ruined.
'Cause
If
I'm
he gets
pretty-
a 14-year contract with the Dodgers, it's over.
Yeah, and they
cannot
defer
happen.
all of it pretty much. Like,
It's just so ridiculous.
There will be
but
riots in the streets if that happens.
I will be right
Not
out there
in
with
LA.
them.
It'd be worse
Yeah,
than
no, no.
KD going to the Warriors.
Honestly.
Yeah, it would be way worse. It would be.
But
Because
it's
the
just like
Dodgers will get healthy pitching again next year. Knowing us, they'll sign Corbin Burns too.
and they'll
probably.
get Shohei back.
Yep.
Is Otani going to be able to pitch
He'll,
next
he'll
year?
pitch next
Yeah.
year.
He had Tommy
Yeah.
John this
Oh,
year, but he was still able to
God.
hit. Yep. Just give them the trophy.
I
Literally,
hate
just give them the trophy. Colin?
I'm going to go back to the Packers. I think this is, I wouldn't say a must-win game, but a really important game because this is your first time playing Detroit in the season. If you lose this, then you got to play them again later in the season in Detroit. So, and that'll just make things even tougher. And if you lose both games to Detroit, you know you're not going to make it to the Super Bowl without going through Detroit in the playoffs. So you got to show at some point in the regular season that you can beat that team.
I would argue that the Chicago games are more must win because obviously Detroit, I pegged them to be on top of the division before the season. I figured the Packers would probably split 1-1 with them. They'll probably win one and lose the other, depending on health, of course, which is a big thing. And Hutchinson being out doesn't help them either. But I really think those games against the Bears because they've already lost to Minnesota once. They're probably not going to make the playoffs if they go like 2-4 in the division. They
Yeah,
need to win
all these
those
division
games.
games
They
are
need to
so
clean up
important.
against Chicago. And I still think they can. On to Ryan.
I'm gonna head over to Maryland and go to the Commanders. Jaden Daniels winning Rookie of the Year. Commanders are winning the NFC East, and I mean Dan Quinn is just having so much fun there. Give them a new stadium, and they are one of the best franchises in the NFL.
Yeah, talk about a turnaround ever since Dan Snyder left.
Yeah. Most Chicago Bears moment.
The culture is actually blanking good now,
Yeah.
if you know what I'm saying.
Whoa!
Hitting her bomb. over there.
Blanking.
That's twice.
Thin ice, buddy.
Sailor mouth.
You might,
Yeah,
see, you
I
might see me
apologize.
in that chair next week.
I apologize. All right, on to Mikey.
I'm going to college football as a Boise State supporter and an avid running back fan. Austin Jeanty is winning the Heisman. I don't care what
Absolutely.
anybody says.
I mean,
It's not going to
yeah.
be Hunter. It's not going to be Cam Ward. Austin Jeanty. I don't care what anybody says.
Fair enough. On to Alex.
I just have a quick question from last